Sometimes misfire faults are easy to find. Sucking air right here. This check valve is broken. If I just stick my finger on here, no more misfires. Changing temperature sensors is usually straightforward. You just remove the clip to remove the old sensor, and then install the new in reverse removal. But you can see how rusty this metal clip is. So when you buy a new sensor, just make sure to get a clip as well, a retaining clip, just in case. These old ones are metal, the new style are plastic, and I guess that's the reason why is these metal ones rust out over time. This is the thermostat flange. You can see this bolt here, it's all falling apart as well. So things can snowball sometimes, and so while you're in there you might as well do a whole bunch of stuff so you don't have to go back in there at a later time to fix the other stuff, if that makes sense. Sorry about the shaky camera and the focus. Just parked this on the hoist, went to grab the keys to get into the trunk when I noticed 318. Nice. Can you spot the burnt spot? Not too long ago, somebody posted a comment saying that the alternator is easier to remove from the top on an ALH engine. That may very well be true if it doesn't have air conditioning. This one has air conditioning. That's the air conditioning compressor down here. There's the alternator. That's the power steering. On non-AC vehicles, the power steering is at the bottom. The alternator would be higher up and more easily accessible in that case. So posting that it's easier to do it from the top is only relevant if that is the case in your vehicle in terms of no AC. So yeah, it's frustrating, you know, putting a video up and then people complaining or saying that there's a better way to do it when they're talking about a completely different vehicle engine setup. 2012 Jetta. Car wouldn't go anywhere in gear. No sign of clutch smell. Drive shafts were intact. Sometimes a CV joint can break and then the drive shafts don't turn, and that doesn't transmit any power to the wheels. But in this case, like I said, no clutch smell, but you can definitely see this is all clutch material. 120 some odd thousand kilometers. Yeah. You know, that takes skill to have it not smell. You can see there's a real fine layer on the inner piece. The outer piece that touches the pressure plate completely gone. There's the pressure plate. Wow, that's skill. It doesn't smell at all. Fuel pump was installed by somebody not too long ago, and customer is now complaining about fuel smell. So I took this thing off. I got the smoke machine on right now, but I took this off and I noticed this thing here. And when pushing down on this pump, I can get it to squeak, so that tells me it's not sitting fully or correctly. And there's a bit of dampness, wetness there. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm just waiting for smoke to show up. I'm pretty sure that this is going to be the source of the fuel smell. Oh, there's this smoke. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely see it going across the screen. Hard to pick out exactly where it's coming from. Probably from under the collar. Anyways, yeah, there's this smell. You can see the smoke going across the carpet. Nice. There you can see the seal, and then how it got pushed down right here, and it comes back up on this side. Sorry, the lighting is not that great here. Hold on. Might be better. Bit of a, when you're in a hurry, stuff happens. Spark plug gap is way too big. The center electrode is almost missing. Can't tell if it's focusing or not. Come on. Let's try that again. It's not even focusing on the spark plug gap here. Come on. I think you get the idea. Huge gap. And the control arm bushings are shot. But he doesn't want anything. Doesn't want the spark plugs replaced, doesn't want the control arm bushings. Oh well. Safe journeys. Hey Eric, so fuse box. Back of the fuse box. Each connector has its own letter. There's a D, there's a C, there's a B, there's an A1, A2. So let's say connector G, pin 8. Then you find G, pull out the connector, and each connector has pins that are numbered. So I can't do this one-handed. Hold on. Okay, before you can pull out connectors, there's this little locking tab. You gotta move the locking tab out. Then you can push the pin here and pull the connector up. And then each connector has numbers. You can see the numbers here, and then that corresponds to whatever wire. And hopefully you're going to be looking for a wire that's a certain color, and that'll help you verify exactly which one that you need. So yeah, if that makes sense. And like I said, I'll send more info later on tonight. When you have a temperature gauge in the dash that's reading or showing lower temperatures and you're concerned that it might be a sensor issue, plug in a new sensor. Yeah, that way you don't drain any coolant at this point. And then what I do is I just heat it up with my little air gun, and then I watch the gauge, the cluster, and I watch the engine computer temperature values. So you can see the engine computer registers 112 degrees. The cluster is showing around 90 right now. With the old sensor, the cluster would show maybe just above a quarter. So we're looking at a temperature sensor issue. (2004) Golf, automatic, doesn't matter. When accelerating, you can feel the vehicle shaking slightly through the steering wheel as well. You put it in neutral and just coast along. There's no vibration or anything. So I was suspecting drive shaft, and sure enough. whose bearings are all rusty and solid, and that's binding. So as you're accelerating, that drive shaft is going up and down, and it's causing the whole transmission to shake up and down, and that's causing the vehicle to shake and feel the vibration. Once the engine is started, the EGR gets vacuumed. That's the EGR right here. There's the vacuum hose, but it'll only stay active for a little while, and then it'll shut off. And that's normal. The reason I'm checking it right now, it had an EGR excessive flow. There's no vacuum. The vacuum gets to here, as you can see, but the valve doesn't hold vacuum. And the code can be misleading because you think that the EGR is excessive flow, but when this thing doesn't hold vacuum, there is no EGR action, so there's excessive airflow. That's what the computer is flagging. It's not flagging actual exhaust. Excessive exhaust flow. It's flagging excessive airflow through the map. So this should time out any minute here. Actually, unless it's temperature related, it may stay on longer. I don't know all the specifics. I'm no expert, so. There it goes. So now it's off, and it may come on again later on, but just be aware that if you let the engine idle for a while, and then you decide to check vacuum here and you have no vacuum, it's normal. That's the reason. So what you do is you shut it off, and you start it again, and then you check for vacuum. .318. Almost at 318. Oops. That would have been freaky. Okay, I just watched somebody parallel park holding up traffic, and it wasn't because of they didn't know what they were doing. They were driving a BMW X5 or something like that, a newer model. It must have had automatic parking, so they activated the parking mode. Obviously the vehicle takes a couple of seconds to decide what it wants to do, and then it parked itself. A lady was just sitting there watching the steering wheel turn by itself. You know, if you can't park a car, you shouldn't be driving.